This just in, our CBS Sports All-America teams, and the defensive team dominated by CFP teams. Look at that. LSU, the only one represented that's not in the college football playoff. I guess Notre Dame too, because I heard someone told me they didn't make it. I'm not sure if that's true or not. Ohio State leads the way, though, with 3 first-teamers, 1 on each level of that defense, including safety Caleb Downs. How about the offensive side? Only 1 quarterback, and it's Diego Pavia, who is our first-team All-American on the offensive side of the ball. Jeremiah Love, a first-team running back, along with Ahmad Hardy of Missouri. Also had a couple of Miami offensive linemen get first-team awards. How about Players of the Year and Coach of the Year? Coach of the Year, Curt Cignetti. Freshman of the Year, Malachi Toney. Player of the Year, Diego Pavia. And this was a vote by many of our CBS Sports college football writers and analysts. So let's get a few of them in here. Chip Patterson, I know, was a voter. Damien Harris and Danny Kanell representing the players here. I'm going to let Chip go first because I know that you had a vote, and I know you voted for Pavia over the likely Heisman winner, Fernando Mendoza. Why is that?
First of all, I don't think that there were bad options. Julian Sayin got a couple of votes. Fernando Mendoza got a couple of votes. Diego Pavia did end up being the winner when the balloting was completed. I will note, for context purposes, these ballots were due before conference championship games. So just like the Football Writers Association of America All-America ballot, where the votes are due November the 21st, just like some of the other primary awards, these are all going to be on different timelines than the Heisman Trophy, which you just referenced there. And we're not concerned about the Heisman Trophy because this is our daggone Player of the Year award. Okay, so now let's talk about my process, because when I was looking at Diego Pavia against Fernando Mendoza, do you know what I saw? I saw incredibly comparable profiles. I really saw no bad options. We're talking 71.2% completion percentage against 71.5% completion percentage. How about Pavia and Mendoza? Both exactly 9.4 yards per attempt. So we've got 36 total touchdowns for Diego Pavia to 39 total touchdowns for Fernando Mendoza. And so ultimately I came back and I thought about what really crystallized the year. And for the Vanderbilt Commodores to be 10-2, for the Vanderbilt Commodores to be knocking on the door, and for a player who started at the JUCO ranks and wound up leading Vanderbilt to one of its most successful seasons in program history, that exemplifies the modern college football experience, the way that he's been able to go through each step of his journey and then finish as one of the faces of the sport. So yeah, I didn't really see a bad option, but as I turned my ballot in again before conference championship weekend on the due date, I did have Diego Pavia in my Player of the Year spot.
Sounds to me like a little voter remorse is what it sounds like to me, and I think deservedly so, because, I mean, that's a great story. 10-2, and they've had an unbelievable season, and Vanderbilt's, long tradition of football success. This has been one of the best seasons they've had. But then we've got another quarterback who has had even less success as a program, who just led him to an undefeated season in the regular season, even before that Big Ten championship game, and one of the best drives in the year against Penn State with a signature moment. A massive win on the road at Oregon, one of the best teams in the country, something that Diego Pavia lacked. He had his opportunity too, because I remember Vanderbilt was going toe-to-toe with Alabama. They were moving the ball with ease. And then all of a sudden, 2 red zone turnovers by Diego Pavia. You guys, that's your guys, not mine. I didn't get to vote in this thing. Your guys' Player of the Year on the biggest stage. A chance to have a truly historic season like Fernando Mendoza did, came up just short. Not to mention Texas, where a little bit too little too late with the roaring comeback there, while Texas playing a lot of prevent defense, just trying not to lose the game. I thought Diego Pavia had an opportunity to do the same thing as Fernando Mendoza did, and he simply didn't. That's why I would think it would go to Fernando Mendoza even before the Big Ten championship game.
Listen, Chris, I mean, these guys didn't leave me any meat on the bone. I mean, I don't even know what I'm supposed to say at this point. I mean, they just argued both sides of the coin here. But what I will say is, I agree with Danny. If I had a vote in this, if I was Chip Patterson, I would have gone Fernando Mendoza's way. And to encapsulate it in my own way, I just think Fernando Mendoza has played the quarterback position better than anybody else all season long, and he's done it consistently. I mean, you want to go back to the Penn State game. Yeah, he didn't play his best game through the first 3 quarters and, up until the last 2 minutes of the fourth quarter. But over the season, he has played the highest level of football at the quarterback position, whether it's touchdowns, whether it's taking care of the football, whether it's seeing what the defense gives him and then taking full advantage of that. And he makes the guys around him better. So I do bet Chip Patterson is having a little bit of buyer's remorse, because at the end of the day, if you take into account that performance by Fernando Mendoza against Ohio State in the Big Ten championship, I just think it's a no-brainer. Fernando Mendoza has been the best player, the most complete player, especially at the quarterback position in all of college football.
Well, Chip, if you were to be able to redo it right now after what you saw from Mendoza against Ohio State, would you change your vote?
When he completed the deep pass to Becker down the right sideline, I said, "Oh my God, that's it." That is the player on this team against that defense that we talked about as, one of the best maybe in modern history, to be able to step up in that moment. It was quite a moment. And so, that's all I got to say about
Wait, come
that.
on, you got to what do you mean? You got to answer it.
It sounds like it, Chris. I mean, he just answered it for you. He wishes he would have voted for Fernando Mendoza. And by the way,
absolutely,
because Diego's personal hype man, Johnny Manziel, I saw him taking some shots at Fernando Mendoza. He said, so we're calling a Heisman moment a fade down the sideline. We have to consider the moment. It was 3rd and 6 when 95% of schools would have ran the football. Instead, they decided to put the ball in the hands of the best player, and he delivered a perfect pass. And that was not the moment. We discussed this on the Cover 3 pod today. The Heisman moment might have him getting absolute you-know-what knocked out of him on the first play of the game, and him coming back and having not just that big throw, but several big throws. I thought the entirety of it was a slam dunk for Fernando Mendoza.
Might have to do a Cover 3 player of the year and get Danny's vote, get Damien's vote, get a bunch more votes here after we saw championship weekend and Fernando Mendoza leading Indiana to a perfect 13-0 record into the playoff. Our thanks to Chip Patterson, Damien Harris, and Danny Kanell. You can check out the full teams at cbssports.com, and we'll continue to dive into our teams throughout the week here on HQ. Cover 3 podcast, latest episode just dropped. A Heisman preview. What do you know? It wasn't the Heisman Trophy. It was our Player of the Year award. We think we know who's going to win the Heisman, though. That's Fernando Mendoza. Check out our latest episode, including Day Trading Danny on the Cover 3.